Okay, so I just got out of therapy and dumped all this stuff in there, so I think it's probably a good way to, now that I have my thoughts formulated, is to dump it all back out onto video so you guys can see what this is that I've been thinking about and all these things that have been going through my head a lot. So right now, everybody knows that I've been, thinking about career transitions and how I'm changing things along in my job and how I'm, supplemental income and, making changes. So I've talked about that a lot. I want to write a book. I want to, sell knickknacks that I find. Like I want to do more art. So there's all these things. At the same time, I've been, and this is not a political thing, I've been really trying to work on what the definitions of, racism and hate in our society are, because I think we use a very antiquated notion of it has to be, explicit hate for somebody, for a group, when it's not necessarily explicit hate. It can be just bias and other shit. We'll get into that. And the other thing I worry about on a constant level is climate change. Now, I know some people will be like, oh, that's bullshit, but you're a fucking idiot, so fuck you. The thing is, I think about all of these things because these days, one of my main concerns is what am I doing for my future and the future of my children and then the future of my grandchildren? Of course, we want to teach our kids love and compassion and kindness. And we want to make sure that they know how to take care of themselves and, can get a career that's lucrative and it makes them happy, something that's fulfilling. But I think that question has been complicated a lot more when we think about the state of the world and, what that's going to mean for future generations and what that means for us in our personal responsibility for those generations. So I have to understand, I have to think about the fact that, when it comes to climate change, there is it's just an irrefutable fact that, we're going to see sea level rises. I'm going to put a link in the I'll put a link in the caption to this to you can map out sea level rise for your location, and this is peer-reviewed research they base these maps off of, so you can map it based on temperature over, and project it to 2050 or 2100. 2050 is in most of our lifetimes, so that's where I projected to, just to look. We have to think, like, even with extreme cuts to carbon emissions, by 2050, the bulk of the Jersey Shore will be gone, as well as a lot of the Delaware shoreline along the bay and the river, and a lot of the Jersey shoreline along the Delaware River in South Jersey will be gone. Good chunks of Camden, areas of South Philly will be underwater. And we have to think about the impact that has, because we think, oh man, underwater, but then it's like you're looking at it, it's like, well, that's, billions of dollars in infrastructure, billions of dollars in businesses that are going under, billions of dollars in tourism gone, millions of people displaced, and you got to think about the stress that has on the local economy and the national economy. And when I think about what that'll do, because you're looking at so many jobs lost, like so many issues that arise from that. And with climate change, we've seen plenty of talk about, what's going to happen there'll be agriculture industry will get ravaged, and there's going to be food shortages and water supply shortages. But then we don't think about, and this is where the racism issue comes into it, because right now you have these disputes over the asylum seekers coming from Central America, which that's our fault, by the way. Look it up. But you have the asylum seekers, and what you're going to look at by 2050 is you're going to look at a higher temperature. You're going to look at islands and coastal regions in South and Central America being flooded, and you're going to see a migrant crisis like we've never seen before. because these people's homelands are just going to be devastated by climate change. So they're going to be pushing north. So you're going to see a lot more, a lot more people of color moving north and right into the South, where they don't necessarily like immigrants and people of color. No offense to anybody from the South that doesn't agree with me. But this is what we're going to see. So this brings me back to the racism issue. And I'm like, well, is shit going to get worse with that in America? Or is it not going to get worse? Is it going to get better? I mean, it's easy to say things get better and go in waves when you're not looking at unprecedented changes to the landscape of the world. So we're going to be facing, at home, we're going to have these economic problems from especially in this region, like the South Jersey and Delaware area is one of the hardest hit regions in the country, next to South Florida and Louisiana and coastal Southern California. So we're looking at these massive problems around here. You're looking at areas of Manhattan underwater and shit like that. Like, it's going to get bad. So you're looking at these problems here. You're looking at fucked up economy and fucked up food problems and water shortages and destroyed infrastructure and displaced people. And then you're looking at possibly millions of displaced people trying to move north to escape their own countries getting destroyed. And it makes me think, like, are we gonna, like, is the racism here and the nationalism gonna keep us divided from trying to help the people that are fleeing their country because it's fucking destroyed now? I don't know. Like, so that's something I think about. But then when this comes back to the what I'm doing with my career and the choices that I make in that, and what's going to happen for my kids in the future and my grandkids, I start to think about if these are strong possibilities. Like, things might not pan out exactly this way. This is what I see, the echoing the rippled out issues from losing the coastal New Jersey, the ripple effect of that. I'm looking at that, and this is what it is. So it makes me think, well, am I thinking about my current career and my future career in ways that are going to be sustainable in the future? I mean, because what we're looking at is, that stuff's going to happen within 30 years. So I'll be pushing 70, but, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be doing things with my life. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be working in some capacity, because I love the work. And I just want to think about, are the things I'm trying to set myself to do going to be beneficial for either my kids, grandkids, and society as a whole in the future? Because that's the stuff I need to think about. What am I going to be doing for society as a whole? What am I going to be doing to help my family in the face of this? I don't want to ignore the changes that we're going to go through in the world. I want to, hopefully in some capacity be a part of the solution. So, this has really been on my mind. Like, how do we deal with that? How do we work through those ideas and especially when there's so much uncertainty involved? I think what I'm mainly trying to do is every day when I'm doing things, I'm thinking, is this in accordance with where I want the future to go? But is it also in accordance with what's going on in my life at this very moment? Because right now it's like, well, I have a business with all these people that work with me, and I own a home and all these different things. And it's like, well, I have to think about these things because these are realities right now. So I can't bail on them and become a fucking farmer because I think my kids are going to have a food shortage in 30 years. That's madness. So I have to think about, like, well, what can I do now that's going to, that's going to play out in a way that it ends up being good then, if we hit worst case scenario shit. This is it's just something I've been thinking a lot about, and because I think it's really important that we try to make sure our lives are situated in a way that is going to be good in the long run for our families. For it's It's a tough one. It is a tough one. You know, but that's it. I'm going to keep asking myself these tough questions. I'm going to keep working through them and trying to find ways to align all my actions so that they're mapping toward the same destination. You know, because really that's what we need to do. And we need to think about, what is our destination meant to be? What do we want our destination to be? And for me, I want it to be a destination where I'm not losing everything because I haven't been considering the future impact of my actions. So, you know, just understand that what this is overall to me is this is trying to make sure that my actions are mapping toward the destination I am trying to achieve. And that's what we all should be doing. Whether you agree with the things I'm saying or not, doesn't matter, because your actions should be mapping toward the destination you want to achieve. Thanks for listening to me rant, because that was really just some word vomit there, but it was all real fresh, so I had to spit it out. So hopefully when I go back and listen to this later, it'll make a little bit of sense. And I'll make sure to put that link to the fucking coastal flooding, whatever it was, the climate change, sea level rise. So thank you guys for paying attention to my fucking nonsense, and I promise we'll get back to some art later today, just to probably make you feel a little better, a little bit of levity.